screen for Concur Expense. At the screen, I want you to pay attention to the URL. It's Concur Solutions with an S at the end.com. Once on the screen, you will be able to log in with the username and password that was provided to you. Now, forget this username and password in the future. Well, I'm sorry, your username, most likely you are not going to forget, but your password, you can click here on the Forgot Your Password link. Now, it's provides you with two options. One is your password hint. This is something that you created to remind you of your password, and if that does not work, you will have the ability to reset your password. So now to log in, and do on a page called the My Concur Expenses page. On the My page, you will have a series of items. Now, your company does not have the travel portion, and though I cannot remove it, so we're going to just review the items under the expense claims. Now, into a claim, creating a claim, I wanted to explain some things to you. The first thing to show you is you review your profile to make sure that you're set up correctly. And to be incorrect, you make those corrections before moving forward. Now, to make those corrections or review this information, you need to decide, do I want to administer as myself, or do I need to do this on behalf of someone else? So what you're at the top of the screen, you'll see you're administering for yourself. If they're down, and in this list, you will only see those who have opted to have you as an expense delegate. Now, the person who will log in as themselves, like I did, and with the system, they can go drop down and go on someone else's account, only if you have provided it permitted them to do so. The same to create a claim, submit a claim, and so on. The only difference is you will see in this example, my name is Kevin Dorsey, and registering for and the person that you're completing those expense-related tasks for. And there's an audit trail in the background letting me know that Tasha created this report for John. With your own account, you'll click his name, the and select me, and then your own account. So let's go to profile to review these options. Once I put my mouse over it, there's a series of shortcuts, but I'm on the actual tab itself. Now, we'll review the items under expense settings. Some I'm not going to discuss because they're not going to be applicable to your company. What we'll talk about is expense delegates. We talk about how to go into someone's account as a delegate, but how we make someone our delegate. So let's click on this option. Now, myself, someone's expense delegate. It allows me to be able to administer expenses for them. They can profile expense delegates and add me. So you'll click on Add, and you'll search by the person's first or last name. Once you'll click on it, and they'll be placed in the grid below. If I save now, I would still not be this person's delegate. You have to have at least one task given in order to be a delegate. So let's talk about these tasks. The first is prepare. If you find this person creating the report for you and checking the required documentation, check the boxes. If you go a step further, submit the claim, check the box here as well. You are really making sure that everything is correct. And if that's the case, you don't want them to submit it. You want to review it. You want to click the Submit button, not check this button. This is all the legwork, but when they're finished, they're going to click a Notify Employee button, which will send you an email letting you know it's time for you to log in, see what they've done, and click Submit. Now, emails will mean that they will also, keyword is also, receive expense-related emails. That we want to review can approve. It will only be applicable if you're an approver and the person adding as your delegate is an approver. If it will not be active. So delegate or just simply click Save. And with this confirmation, instantly this person will log in and they will go into your account. Let's continue. Is expense preferences. This is where you turn on and off certain email options. Now, if you're receiving too many emails and you uncheck them all, Keep in mind, I do have two suggestions for you. I leave the first option on. The status of an expense claim changes. You submit the claim, and let it get sent back because you failed to attach a receipt or something. Well, you'll receive that you will know, or if it's approved, paid, processed, etc. You always know the status once it changes because you receive an email. And I ask for those of you that are approvers to leave the option on, which expense claim is submitted for approval. So it arrives in your approval queue. It's time for you to log in, review the claim, and make a decision whether to approve it or send it back. Now, this is very important because you don't want to hold up someone's reimbursement. So the next is going to be expense approvers. It is only, but that doesn't make it any less important. You need that you have an approver listed here because if you do not, you will not be able to submit your claim. Now, the last two items we want to talk about is going to be personal car and favorite attendees. Now, it's required if you're going to expense mileage. You need to list the vehicle or vehicles that you may find yourself expensing on behalf of. When you click New, you'll have the vehicle ID, which the easy way to do it is put the name of the car so that you can identify it. And you will select the territory. Now, if you're using one car over the other, you can have one as the preferred, do the default until you change it. Item under expense settings is favorite attendees. Based on the expense type that you select, you are to list the attendees that were present. So let's example. Let me give you two examples. Let's say I'm in the department and it's month in and it's a rough month. So it's o'clock at night and we still haven't closed our books. As the departmental lead, I'm going to purchase dinner for everyone. When I list that meal, I'll be required to list all the attendees that were present. So, in essence, could have Rocky employees in it. Let's decide I'm a sales rep and I'm having a contract meeting over lunch with the client. When I end that lunch, I will be required to list all the clients that were present. So this can also contain employees of your company. Now there's someone that you may have as an attendee in the near future, please take time to add them now. You'll just send a new attendee and you all the required fields. The required field is those with the red bar. Notice it isn't a required field. Now most just complete just the minimum, but you may have someone with the same last name, so completing as many fields as possible is really, really helpful. So let's have the person saved in your favorite attendees list. Please remind that you can add them on the fly when you're in the process of creating that expense entry as well. Now, let's use the example of the accounting department. Let's say there's 15 people in my accounting department, big department. I want to put them in a group so I can just type accounting, and all 15 are imported into my expense entry. You can do that with the use of attendee groups. You're going to add new, name the group something that you will be able to identify, and check the names of those who are in that group. And now, before the profile page is to be the ability to change your password at any time. Password and complete all the fields. I know you see a red bar, but there is a sentence here that says all fields are required. This page to discuss how to set up our email addresses in just a second, once you understand the purpose of setting up your email account. So let's go to the My Concur homepage. You're going to see an expense claim area. This is going to see all of your open and outstanding claims. And what I mean by that is any claim that has not been paid. Once paid, they're removed from the screen, and you will see them immediately here in your expense claim area. But you can view claims to see both your current and historical claims. Think of it as your filing cabinet. So I can see items if I click on View, last month, last quarter, last year, and so on. Some options from here, for example, if I wanted to delete, I can delete a claim if I've started it and not yet submitted it. I can also click on this line to go in a claim if needed. So let's go back to the Concur homepage. You will view all of your claims that you've submitted for up to 1 year. Now, the back staff will have a longer period of time, but for you, it's going to be 1 year. You see a shortcut here at the top, but there's no need to use this shortcut because everything's here on this page. Let's begin the claim by clicking on the New Expense Claim button. Header, and that's what we call this page. We're not quite in our expense claim. We're setting it up. So the first thing to do is enter the name. Now, you will submit your claims based on your payroll, which is twice a month. So you accordingly. So that's going to be from the beginning of the month to the 15th, and that will be from the 16th to the end of the month. So we're going to submit the one that's from the 16th to the end of the month later, but now we're going to say through 15th, 20th. Now, B is going to be whatever date you begin the expense claim. It's not to drive any of the entries, and there's no need for you to change it. Basically, it's a good tool for you to be able to refer back. If you know you started with this claim on the 4th and you finally click Submit on the 15th, then easily find it. The business purpose is not a required field, but if you want to add some additional information, let's say I met with ABC Inc., just so the approver knows, and maybe you can use for reference. That's the comment. The comment, but what if you wanted to put a little note out there for your approver so that he understands certain expenses, or just a note for your own personal reference? I'm going to client signed the contract, just so that I can show you where it's going to live in the future. The next items are going to be locked down, but it tells you how you're set up. You're going to see your bench, your cost center, and your audit level. So to the claim by clicking Next. Now, items, you're going to see them here under expenses. So, car or hotel, etc. They will all be here. So it's blank because we haven't added anything. On our right, you will see a list of all of your available expense types. Find them in the list. You can narrow down by typing any portions of the name. Start with the first one. Let's say that we had a meal. Now, meal, to narrow it down, and you're going to see that there's meal attendees, meals trainings. So mind, when you narrow down the list, you will see everything that has that particular letters in the name. Have a just going to be basic expense. So based on the form, and that's what we call this side of the page, so we're going to have one for each expense type, use certain required fields. This information you can find on the receipt. So the based on my receipt is 6th of May. The business was a meal. I can put supplier description if needed. And next is the city. You're going to see the country is set up as Canada, but if you go elsewhere, you can actually make that selection. So that, according to my recently used, which appears when I begin to type it in, I click in the field, I'm in Bridgewater. Click here. Now I can continue. Now the payment is going to default as cash. There's no need to change it because this is the default. And my lunch was $15.60 Canadian dollars. If there, you can enter the tips, but there, I just got a pizza to go and moved on. If you need to select no receipt or receipt. Now keep in mind, if you select no receipt, you will have to sign the affidavit. Okay, so just be aware. Now, that was a part of this meal we're going to talk about in just a second. But before we do, this particular expense is to be affiliated with a different branch. I can make that selection now. So I can say, well, this expense is for Brandon, Rhode Island, but we want to have it cross between multiple entities. That's what this button called Allocate. A lot of people call allocations charging because it allows me to split it between more than one branch and or cost center. I need, or I accidentally selected too many, I can delete one. It's going to evenly distribute the percentages. Maybe the deal was 80-20 or 90-10. Or with percentages, you can always select an amount. Just leave it at the default, but we have to change how it's going to be split. Branch. If not, I can make that selection, maybe cost center. So Calgary Light and so we're going to split between Red Calgary and Calgary Light. When I save, confirm that it's saved, and it's window open just in case I have additional items to cross-charge or allocate. But we're done. And I'm going to click Save. To save an individual expense entry, you're actually saving the entire claim. If I was to lose internet connection or was to log out and say I'll finish this later, it's going to look exactly as you see it when you return. We have this icon here, if I put my mouse over it, which will give an overview of my allocations. I can't click in here, as you can see, modify anything. I would have to open the expense entry again and go from there. So this I'm going to talk about is also a meal. Let's talk about a business meal with attendees. Now, what the system tries to do for you is it tries to help you by pre-populating some of the fields. It looks at the last entry that you entered and assume the date's the same and the city. So be aware of that and make those changes as needed. So this is going to be a client meeting, and the amount is 120 Canadian dollars. You have a tip here, and if I wanted to enter the tip, I could say it's a $10 tip. So I'm going to select receipt and at the default of Calgary. Favorite attendee is favorite attendees list. Remember, we talked about this under your file. You can put the group name or the name here in the drop-down. And as you enter it, the list is down. If the attendee is not saved in your favorite attendees list, or maybe you remember the company and not the name, you can go to your favorites button. It will give you all of those options. I can indicate at this time, and it's going to be saved to my list and to this entry. I can, using any of these features, maybe you just remember the company name. Enter that and click Search. Make sure you have the correct type selected. I can used or my groups. But in this, we're just going to select these two and add to expense. If you look down at the bottom, and the amounts are equally distributed between all of the attendees so that you don't have to keep a tab who purchased what. Now you can click Save. This icon, and when I put my mouse over it, I can see a summary of those attendees. Okay? So let's keep going. The next thing I'm going to talk about is going to be one for limo. It's most recently used, so I'm going to click on it. This limo was used trip from airport, city, let's say it was in Vancouver. Of this limo, it's very important. Find that the system has thresholds. So what I mean by that is it exceeds your company's expense limits. You will get what we call an exception. For example, for a limo is I believe going to be 70. So let's just splurge a little bit and say it's 100. See to prove it, and I'll comment. Get a taxi, so I rented a limo. So save. Now because it exceeds the policy, I have an exception. That means I triggered an audit rule. It's exactly what I've done. The expense is above the reasonable amount set by your company. So there's no question as to what's wrong. Now, the exception is red, which we will see in just a minute. You will not be able to submit this claim until you resolve what it's telling you to resolve. We can continue But don't be alarmed if your viewer kicks this back. So that we can see more on our screen. So speaking of options, let's start with the hotel. I'm going to select the hotel expense. The hotel expense I need to itemize because it doesn't just contain a room rate and tax. It has additional items. So let's put purpose. And skipped over transaction date, but let's go back to this because it's very important. It needs to be the date that you checked out of the hotel. Not the days between, but the date that you checked out. So there, you can down, or you can just begin typing in the name to narrow down the list. Change if needed to deal with the different items here. So we have payment type is the full hotel bill that's reimbursable, $645. We do receipt. So save and itemize. Now, the checkout date already pre-populated, it will be here. Now, number of nights. I was there for 3 nights, and it's going to be populated. So I was charged for most nights of my stay. For most, I had a rate of $175, a tax of, let's say, 20, GT or PST accordingly. Now, on the page, you're only going to enter the items that are automatic and reoccurring. So you have something like, let's say, room service or a telephone call or a meal. Never here. These items that you were charged just for being at the hotel. Let's say I was for parking or for, I would then add those up here and then enter what I was charged for most nights of my stay. Okay? Itemization, and you're going to understand why. Save itemizations. I'm going to get those amounts and multiply them by the number of nights of my stay. Now, in the example, we've triggered an exception. And to do it, this is how you open an existing entry. Any line, I'm missing the comment. I can tell you I don't want to do this multiple times. You can see more on your screen. So what you do is you can select all items in multiples. I'll show you a neat trick. Edit in multiples. If I need the comment and the comment is going to be the same, I can enter it here and save all of my exceptions or results at once. Voila. I still have an exception here, and there's a reason why. To itemize a hotel entry, you cannot submit until you itemize it 100%. So that's what it's telling me here. So in order to continue. So let me click here so that we can continue. So let's try adding an itemization. And this I'm going to add those one-time charges like room service or telephone call, things like that that's not charged every night of your stay. So I have $60 balance here. So I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my dinner for one night. The date matches exactly what's on my receipt. I'm going to enter the amount. Let's just say dinner was $45. You can. It's hotel room service. And see that I have a remaining balance left. It's going to keep you the expense type drop down until all the items are here. And let my breakfast. 15. And comment, but I just wanted to enter a comment so you can see where it's going to go. I'm going to service and then save. At 100%, you're going to see the exceptions gone. I have here, if I put my mouse over it, you're going to see room service. Let's click this drop down for cleaner view. So, entries that I want to talk about before actually submitting this claim. One, I'm going to deal with car mileage. So let's go on personal car mileage. Now remember, you have to have that car profile in order for you to submit this. So if you then say, I'm sorry, there's no vehicle set up under your profile. So what would you need to enter your mileage? You're going to enter expense entry by trip. So you together, let's say 3 trips and add them as one mileage. So if you took this trip, let's say, for example, on the 6th, then that's what you need to enter. So 2 ways to do this. I can enter the full address of what went from and the distance, and we'll calculate the mileage for you. And you forget to reset your odometer frequently, you can use a calculator. The mileage calculator is not a requirement. By no means do I want you to think that. It's just an additional tool to help you. So city and states, or city and locations, just to keep it in our specific address. I'm a resident of Canada, so I don't know all the locations, so I'm going to just enter something here where I'm located. This location, and I went to this location. And even the client that you were visiting had 2 locations, you can enter the third. You can have tolls, highways, and it gives you an overview. This should take me about 57 minutes. And directions on how to get from point A to point B. You probably know every back road, every way out of traffic or construction. And if you're that type of person, find your back road here on the map. See the little white dot? So let's do this here. Drag, and it's going to relate the mileage for you. 0.6, it's not going to accept decimals. So when I try to add mileage to expense, I need to determine if I round up or down. But click add mileage to expense, it's going to calculate everything for you. You would select it from the drop-down, and it's begin to calculate your distance to date. So for 50 kilometers, and now I'm going to it 67. So now I click Save. Now, what I want to talk about is foreign currency. The example that I had to travel to a location. How to deal with that? So let's deal of a taxi. Let me just do my search by clicking taxi. There it is. Your personal credit card, you can probably look at your statement. It's going to convert back to Canadian dollars with any fees, and you can just enter it here. But what if there's cash? So let's talk about that. One very crucial is the date. It needs to be actual date that you purchased the goods or services. So we're going to go here, and let's say I got this taxi on the 9th. Purpose. I'm going to file description, and then change the country, but not in Canada any longer. So let's see the huge difference in exchange rates. So U.S. it's not going to be too different, but we'll just leave U.S. So like a country that's outside of my default reimbursement country, it knows, and it says this country uses U.S. dollars. So in that here, you'll see that it's going to, it's going to put the exchange rate here by default. Okay? So here, make sure that it's correct, and if your receipt has something different, let's say 1.1, just come here and override it. Okay? We're going to put what this taxi cost me in U.S. dollars, which is 50, tab back to Canadian dollars. Okay? Now we can say receipts and enter a comment. And we can click Save. I want to show you something that most of us seem to overlook. Remember I said it's always going to try to help you by pre-stating the date and the location. So let me go to tips and gratuities. It's still in the U.S. So that if you're going to deal with foreign currency, I suggest that you do that last so that you can deal with this. Okay, so let me go back to Canadian dollars, and now I put it back as Canadian dollars. See that there's an expense type for tips and gratuities as well. So to your attention, and the same fields are, you're going to see the transaction date, the business purpose, the supplier description, and so on. So keep them tries to help you. Now let's talk about before submitting. One, have a documentation attached. You can submit. You need to make sure that you have no red exceptions. So let's do that. Do not match. Oh, they do. We just need to refresh the screen. No exception. Remember, we can continue. Make sure that we have all of our receipts attached. If you don't have a receipt, remember, you will need to sign the affidavit. So let's continue. So to attach the receipts is I can scan them and upload them one at a time. You know which items have a receipt by looking at this receipt required icon next to them. If that's you need to attach the receipt. So let's send in these items, and I need to attach them. Receipts, and go to attach receipt images. Keep it to be in the format that you see here, and notice that it's not one of those formats. So if I have a receipt, for example, I'm going to check box, browse to where I've saved that receipt. So I'm going to find it and grab it. So it is my, scroll down, receipts, there we are, and then click upload. To this individual entry, it's no longer required, so it's gone from the list. But if you look next to my hotel, the gray receipt required icon is no longer here. It's letting me know that I've attached it at the line item level. Let's do that one time. So let's say I have my limousine receipt, indicating that that's the receipt that you're attaching. Browse to where I saved it. With 3 receipts remaining. Now, you all add my receipts that way, or I want to point out to you, if in the expense entry, remember to put it in edit mode, click here, and you can edit as well as delete. There's an attach receipt option here at the bottom. When you click this option, it's going to give you the option to browse. And so go to the receipts drop down. You can do everything while you have the entry open. Okay? I'm going to click save. So your thought process, I've scanned in these receipts and stop and log in to attach them. I want later, can I just, since I have Outlook open, just maybe email them? Sure, you can. That's called the receipt store in the upper right corner. Now, I'm going to show you how to set up the receipt store, but I want you to first understand how to use it. So what we'll have the choice of is you can email in those receipts. So let's scan in these receipts and they're saved on my computer. Well, I'm just going to go into Outlook and I'm going to email them in. When they're going to live here in the receipt store until you can drop them into an individual entry. Or most of you probably know when I was in an entry, receipt of it here. And it's a receipt store. Okay. That's how the receipt store works. Now, if you want to use the receipt store, you first need to validate your email account. You will have to validate up to 3 email addresses. So stop that, but you cannot use it until it's validated. And those live here until you decide to add them to an entry. Now, I do give you how I use it so that you can have the idea that it's not coming to just your computer. So I am at a vendor and I'm eating lunch, and that waiter or waitress gives me the receipt. No special apps. As long as I have the ability to take a picture and the ability to eat on my phone, I can instantly take a picture with my cell phone, email the receipt store, and it's here waiting for me for when I would decide to add it to an entry. Or that, it's your work computer, you're at home, and save some receipts there. Actually go to upload here receipts here as well. They're going to live in the receipt store. Just wanted to bring to your attention. I'm going to drop this in here so that I can move forward. We can now submit this claim. All of our receipts attached, and then we can click Submit Claim. Our queue and our approver's queue, you're getting the confirmation. And it says David now has it. Here's the total amount, the amount that's going to be due to you so far, and click Close. And this report is now going to be in our View Reports window. If we need back into it, click on this line, and it's open. It can go into these entries and look, but you can't modify. So note if I go into Business Mail Attendees, it is read only. I do have the ability to modify it. I go in and review my receipts if I need to. Let me say view them in a pop-up window. And the receipts that I've attached, even though I attached them individually, will be in this one document. Or mouse over the icon, receipt images. Options of what I can do, even though it's not in my queue. If it's to be incorrect after reviewing it, you can call it, and this button will only be here for a short period of time. Once it has gone to the processor, it will no longer be available. So the processor is where it's about to be paid. The approver has reviewed it. You can recall it, make corrections, and resubmit. But keep in mind, it's going to go through the approval process again. My Concur homepage. Earn and outstanding reports or claims are here. And if you put your mouse over the comment, you will see the comment that we added to the header. Log in as the approver. I would know as an approver if there's something in my queue if the email option's turned on. So you're going to have in this section called Approval Queue, which sometimes states you have to change these panes around in any order. Now, put your mouse over the comment to see any comments at the header. That's done. Click on the link to open the claim. Fill to it. Be aware of the exceptions because you want to keep an eye out on these before you review anything else. Then you can click into each entry and view the receipt image. So I can toggle between the image and I can toggle between the actual item. I want to make sure that everything's correct. You'll notice that some of the fields you can alter, them you cannot. Okay? But if, let's say the comment, if we want to go back to this exception, is $70. Well, say $70, and what this is going to do is that it's going to be pocket non-reimbursable for you. This will do. And comment explaining this. Okay? I can do that with an entry. Now, you can send back the entire report if something's wrong. Okay? Just send back this one entry. Okay? Send back the entire report. The one entry, it causes more confusion because the report splits. It's approved and paid, and this report is lagging, this portion. Do not check this box. Instead, send back the entire report. Okay? At my comment, do not use the approved amount. I apologize. Let the end user do this. It's the person who submitted this report to you. I would leave my comment there so they'll know. Let's look at our hotel expense. I'm going to open those itemizations so that I can see them all. Image, so I can go back and forth between the image, and I can go into each individual entry and review the details. Let's like toggling back and forth. You can drop down, and you can in a pop-up window, or what I like to suggest is the current window. So as scrolling through each individual item, you can actually look at them. So here, locale, I can click there. So you get all of the items they added. So decision. Moving forward, which is probably rare that you will need this. moving forward, let's say that I'm not quite comfortable with this and I want John to look at it. Or it's cross-charted and it's hitting their cost center now. I want them to view it. So you put their names and it's going to go to their approval queue next. Approval, we say it is. It's next to finally be paid and go out the door. Last is send back to employee. So if it's wrong, the actual expense type's wrong, or anything's wrong, send it back to the employee. Be very descriptive as to why. Don't just put the amount's wrong. Tell them which amount is wrong and what needs to be done. Because you and the person who is the owner of the report will be seeing it, the staff, or any future auditors will see it as well. Okay, exactly what needs to be done. Click OK. It's going to be removed from queue. There's my queue. And if there are additional items, I can begin to review them and improve those items as well. And lastly, log back in as the person who's the owner of this report. So see what it looks like once it's sent back. You'll see the refresh button. Remember where we said to sign the contract? Put it over it, and you can do exactly what your approver said. By clicking on the name, now, if I click on any of the entries, let's say the limo, for example, open, it's no longer locked down. Make those revisions and then resubmit the claim. I also have additional options for you. If you keep this entire claim, you can do so. Or the comments on the claim, you can do that. And most importantly, you can view the audit trail. You can view it any time. It doesn't have to be sent back. So if you want exactly what the person did and who, date and time, you can do that. We view the exception, we view the limo, we view for the hotel, remember any other entries. So a report ran to tell if you bothered to review the expense claim and or the receipts. Okay. Mind that if you're just approving them, we run a report to see what you did and didn't do as an approver. The My page, and I want to point out two things for you under Profile. So we'll go back there. So now the receipt store and how it works. You can just email me receipts that you've scanned. I address how to set it up. If you go to addresses, this is where to add all of your email addresses. Your Rocky Mountain email address is here by default. Additional email accounts, you're going to click Add Email Address. For each account that you add, you're going to click Verify. Email in this inbox. It's going to this feed. You can enter. It's not a real address, by the way. It's going to enter the code that was emailed to that address. That tells the system, oh, that's a valid email account. He or she can check it and only accept emails from one of these accounts that he or she has validated. So if you just on a whim, email receipts in from your spouse's account or some other account, it will accept them. Rocky Mountain for one, and maybe on your phone you use Hotmail, and maybe at home you use Gmail. Add those accounts, and it will accept emails from any other email address if you have bothered to validate them. Okay? And a delegate, keep in mind validated it once. So if you validate an email account under your, you won't be able to validate it under the person that you're delegating for. So email receipts in may not be the best option for you. The next cover is mobile registration. Now, other than delegates, can be done using your mobile device. So if you have an iPhone, iPad, an Android phone, a BlackBerry, you can actually use this app, this Concur expense on your phone. So what if you have an iPad, iPhone, or an Android phone, store and search Concur. Users are going to email yourself the link on your BlackBerry and download it. same, but the pad is up to you if you want to reset it or have a mobile PIN just for the mobile device. And you can have multiple devices if you want. So keep you're on the mobile app. You're in the actual claim. I can start on my phone a claim called, May 1st to May 15th, and I can picture the receipt. I can add the restaurant, the name. I'm adding it to that claim at that moment. It's going to the receipt store. It's going to that individual expense entry at that time. Everything and submit it. Over, I can log in, review the receipts and the claim, and approve, send back, or whatever options you choose to do with that particular claim. I'm going to point out one last thing to you. There's a help option here when you go to training. This page, if I scroll down, quick start guides, quick reference guides. You will also see them for the mobile apps. See a quick demo because there are slight differences between those different apps. Feel free to do them. Something, let's say how to itemize or how to attendees. You expense 2 to 5 minute demo on how to complete that task. Is I am going to unmute the lines to see what questions you have. Before I want to thank you for your time today, and I want to good luck